Not just a cool torchlight or flashlight, but a very nice tool for you videographers. So let's review the INKEE GC30 and the GC60. Let's go! What's good, guys? My name is Oleg Nikitin and you're watching No Limits On channel. So those two lights come in two different flavors, the small light and the big light. For the small light, the GC30, you only get the bicolor version from 2700 Kelvin, the warm light, to 6500 Kelvin, the cool light. And also you get the big one, the GC60, either in daylight, which I have right here, so only 5600 Kelvin, pretty powerful white light, or you can get a bicolor version. Also, those lights come in different kits, so you can buy a basic kit where you get only the light itself with the reflector, but also you get this little pouch and the USB Type-C cable and those covers for the USB Type-C. So if you put this cover on, you can film with this light under the rain or like I did under a heavy snow and got really nice footage in the forest. But also you can purchase a kit version, and in the kit version you'll get this handle with the locating pins so the light doesn't swivel around. Also a pretty nice handle, a lot of 1/4 inch and 3/8 of an inch threads, and the tilting mechanism with this little clamp. And this is a really nice and sturdy handle, love it. And also in the kit, if you buy a big kit, you get this gun charger for 100 watts together with 1.5 meters or approximately 2 meters USB-C USB-C cable for fast and convenient charging. So I would prefer buying a bigger kit. So guys, at first let's have a look at the INKEE GC30, the 30 watt light, but it can also be boosted to 45 watts. So if you rotate this control ring, and as you can see, we get to 100%, but if we keep rotating it clockwise, it'll get to 150%, meaning it's at 45 watts output. And as you can tell, it's really bright. Look at that, guys. So this light is a bicolor light, and you can control the color temperature also with this control wheel. This is the only control point, so if you hold it a little bit to the side, you can change the temperature. So from 6500 Kelvin all the way down to 2700 Kelvin. It's a warm light, as you can tell. And also you can dim this light at 1%, or if you do it in a faster fashion, up to 150%. Also right here on the screen you can see different information, something like voltage, watts and all that different stuff, so it's a pretty informative display. Underneath the cover we have a USB Type-C input and output, so you can use this light as a power bank, which I did on my actual wedding shoot. I was charging my camera throughout the wedding day. Also, we've been shooting with this light as a backlight and as the main light, as I can show you in this footage. And after the morning preparation and also the ceremony, I got about 55 to 60% left, using this light a lot at 150% and also charging my camera from time to time. So it's a nice feature to have a power bank at all times with you. So having a closer look at this light, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4 inch threads, and you have the locating pins for this handle. So it's a versatile mounting system. And here we have the detachable little dish. So you undo this locking mechanism, you twist it, and the dish comes off. It's a pretty small dish with a little hotspot. I will show you the comparison of the smaller one, the bigger one with a different light with different dishes, the kit dish, a different dish, without a dish, so different tests are coming up. So here we have a really cool solution, which is the integrated Bowen's mount. So you unlatch those little leaves and you get the proper Bowen's mount. You can use it with a softbox with different dishes and all that stuff, which is great. I love this design. Big thumbs ups for INKEE engineers for engineering this kind of magical stuff. So all in all, a pretty nice solution. When you lock it, you cannot unlatch those little leaves. And I do like this design. It's not super heavy, it's around 500 grams. The bigger one is around 700 to 800 grams. And this little light contains 71 watt-hours, which means you can bring it with you to an airplane, whereas the bigger one contains 142, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, exactly. And this means that you cannot bring it with you to an airplane, and it's a bummer. So this light is only for like cars, trains, and etc. no luck with the airplanes. But all in all, the battery life of those two lights is about 2 hours at 100% brightness. You can supercharge those lights to 150%, but it'll be like 30 to 40 minutes at maximum. So in terms of the cooling system, we have a built-in cooler right here, and the smaller light is really quiet. And even if you boost it up to 150%, after like half an hour, you won't be able to hear it if you are like 1 meter away, and it's no issue for recording any sound with a good quality. But the bigger guy is a bit more loud. I'll show you the tests in a minute. And at 150% brightness, it does get pretty loud. So you gotta be careful with that when recording audio and using this light. I also did use those two lights on an actual interview shoot. I used the bigger one as a key light through a little umbrella with a special holder, a pretty cheap one, which is not in the kit. And also I used the smaller one as a backlight or the hair light, and it was amazing not to bring a lot of chargers with me. And all in all, this kit is like, I don't know, 1.5 kilos probably, and I was good to go for a little interview. Of course, guys, INKEE does provide you with an app. You can control those lights in groups or separately with the app. You can also combine a lot of those lights into one single light, as you can see here on the INKEE's website. I'm not sure who needs this firepower from those torch lights, but still it is an option, and the app is pretty straightforward and simple. I have to mention one more nuance of this light. So if you discharge it to 0%, especially if you are using the 150% output, so this 60 watt light becomes a 90 watt light, and also it's a daylight, so it's much more firepower than the bicolor version, you can get to a situation when the light is completely discharged and it won't be charging with the kit 100 watt charger. In this case, you need to use 5 volts 1 amp charger for like 10 minutes, and it will boot up, and then you can continue charging with this charger for about 1.5 to 2 hours to charge it fully. So I was thinking that my light was broken, but it seems like there is a low voltage issue or something like that, and you need to give it a little bit of voltage, like 5 volts 1 amp is more than enough, and not a bigger amount of voltage in watts, so keep that in mind. And right now, guys, let's have a look at those two lights in comparison with a different light and also with different dishes, softboxes, and so on. So let's have a look. The first test is 100% brightness, 5600 Kelvin. The settings are written down below. And as you can tell, the INKEE light, the GC60, is almost as bright as the Colbor CL60. That's a 60 watt bicolor light by Colbor, but it only gets the input from the wall. So it's not a battery powered light by any means. And it uses its own reflector with a really pronounced hot spot. That is why it seems like it is brighter, but you'll see what I mean in a few seconds. And the GC30 is a little bit less bright, but still it's enough of firepower. Now let's have a look at 150% brightness at both torch lights by INKEE, and as you can tell, guys, those are getting a lot brighter, especially the little one, the GC30, and you get pretty nice output, which is comparable to a standard COB light that is getting power from the wall. Now let's have a look at the quality of the kit reflectors. So here's the GC30 from INKEE, and as you can tell, we don't have a huge hotspot. It's a pretty even beam, and only towards the edges we have some artifacts, but it's nothing too crazy. The same applies to the GC60 by INKEE, and as you can tell, guys, you can definitely use those lights with the kit reflectors easily, like I did on actual shoots. But the Colbor light and its kit reflector has a very pronounced hotspot, as you can tell, and also towards the edges of the beam we see a huge, like a line. It's an artifact, and this kit reflector is not really usable for direct lighting, only for like bouncing the light. Here is the 3200 Kelvin of the GC30 versus the Colbor at 100% brightness the Colbor and 150 of the INKEE, and I do prefer the INKEE's color. Here is the Colbor at 3200 Kelvin, the same issues with the reflector, hotspot, and artifacts towards the edges of the beam, whereas the INKEE at 3200 Kelvin shows really nice results, pretty even beam, and only towards the edges we see some outlining, but it's nothing major. So here is a separate reflector, a third-party reflector, and as you can tell, guys, at 150% brightness, both INKEE lights do a great job, especially the 60 watt lights. the torchlight by INKEE, and you can tell that it is brighter than the proper 60 watt bicolor COB light by Colbor. And with this reflector, the Colbor light also does have some issues towards the edges of the beam, a pretty big outlining but less of a hot spot, whereas the INKEE light does have some issues because this light is getting really close to the dish itself and you see a big outlining, so not all the dishes are going to be working nicely with this INKEE torchlight. Now let's have a look at the lights without any reflectors. We've dropped the f-stop to f4, previously it was f7.1, and as you can tell guys, at 150%, 5600 Kelvin, the INKEE lights are really bright. Especially I'm surprised by the little one, the 30 watt light, which actually is a 45 watt light at 150%, and it gets even as bright as the 60 watt Colbor light, which is also a bicolor light. And here's the INKEE GC30 versus Colbor at 3200 Kelvin. They're almost identical, which is great. So without any reflectors, as you can tell, the beam is very even. We have no major color shifts towards the edges of the beam, both on the GC60 and on the GC30 lights by INKEE, so you can definitely use those without any reflectors easily. Whereas the Colbor does have a green tint towards the edges of the beam, and it's really obvious even looking at this image. Also, both INKEE lights don't have any flicker issues. I'm using 1/8000th of a second and no flicker whatsoever, so those lights are appropriate to shoot some slow motion at shorter shutter speeds. And now let's have a look at the 90cm softbox of the INKEE GC60, 100% on the left and 150% brightness on the right. The skin tone is great, the brightness is nice, and the CRI and TLCI ratings are 95 and 96 plus respectively. Now guys, let's have a listen of the fan noise of both of those lights compared to some different lights. Here we go. And finally guys, about the price. The smaller one costs 200 bucks. It's not cheap by any means, but it's super versatile, and I would consider buying this smaller one in the first place because it's really compact, it's lightweight, it's super silent, no fan issues whatsoever. And also you don't need to use any bricks, like power bricks, or plugging it into the wall. And I've been bringing this light to all of my interview shoots as a backlight, which is much more convenient than finding a wall outlet somewhere else. The bigger one is nice, but it has some irritating issues like the fan noise at 150% brightness. So if you are planning on using the 150 mode, you definitely need to be careful about the audio. And also you won't be able to take it to an airplane with you, which is a bummer to me because I travel a lot and I'll be bringing this light 100% to some different trips. But all in all, this light is awesome in terms of its build quality, functionality, and firepower in this compact form factor. So which one would you prefer? And by the way, this light is 160, and keep an eye on different kits, so which one is better for you, but I would take the kit with the handle and with the power brick 100%. So guys, please let me know which light is more interesting for you. What do you think of those INKEE torch lights? And if you did enjoy this video, please smash the like and subscribe buttons and hit the notifications bell. And here I have a full playlist of different light reviews for you to watch next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.